Welcome back to Livie'S Lovelies, your inspirational craft channel, and I'm your host, Fam the Fabulous. For more ideas, inspiration, swaps, and challenges, click the link in the description below to join our craft community, the Maker Exchange, on Facebook. Welcome back to the Lovely Lab. Now today I am going to try my hand at doing a scrapbooking layout for Josh. Now I've gotten this sketch from Scrapbook.com, the gallery, and it's by a crafter named Mayuchi. Now I'm not familiar with their work, but I'm assuming that they are pretty good at scrapbooking, so if that's something you're interested in, go to Scrapbook.com and check out their gallery. Now the photos that I'm going to be using are these two of Josh and a friend of ours in his Corvette. Josh, he actually had just recently purchased the Corvette, and so he had invited us to bring Josh over so that they could do a little ride through the neighborhood. And so as you'll see later on in the video, I've gone ahead and titled it Ride Along. Now the papers that I'm going to be using are the black cardstock, the bluish grayish colored cardstock, the white and gray marble, the silver grayish colored textured cardstock, along with that black and white checker pattern paper. And it's not cardstock, that's actually just paper. It's very thin. I pulled a piece of cardboard or cereal box just to make a tag, and I'll cover that. And I've also pulled some stickers, and there's a little red piece of paper, some scrap paper. These stickers came from That's My Boy paper kit by Echo Park, and I think that's Lori Whitlock's design. I'm not sure. Anyways, so I am going to pull these things off to the side so that I can show you the supplies that I'll be working with, or the tools I should say. As far as tools, I'm starting off with the glues, and we've got the ATG gun, the Eileen's tacky glue, the art glitter glue, glue stick. I'm going to also be using a couple of those punches to mimic those round circles in the sketch. And then I've got my paper cutter. Now I've got like 4 paper cutters, but that's the one with the sharpest blade, and for some reason I forget to. Okay, so I am starting off with these 2 photos, and I am just laying them on the silver bluish colored textured cardstock to get an idea of the size of the border that I need. Now I came to the conclusion that they were 4x4 inch pictures, and I could have very easily measured them on, off camera and been a little bit more prepared, but I'd like for you guys to see every bit of the process and just how much I struggle because I did not pre-plan. Okay, so anyways, I measure both of them just to ensure that they're both the same size, and so the size of the border paper is going to be 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. Now, as you can see, I pointed out there's a little hole in that paper, and that happened when I was pulling the supplies and tools out, and the scissors slipped out of my hand and landed on this paper. It would obviously only land on the paper with color, never on the white, just the one that it would show up on most. So I just work around that and cut away some of the area that would, just so that I could hide that little indentation. And so moving right along, I just go ahead and use the ATG gun to put some the adhesive on the back of those photos. Now if you notice, there's the picture on the back, and that's because when I went to print these photos originally, of course I would have the paper in backwards in the printer. So, but I just flipped them over and printed on the opposite side, and came out just fine. And so now I'm going to move on to the silver metallic textured cardstock, and this is the paper that I'm going to use to create the stripped background for the layout. And the size of these strips I determined just by trying to scale the sketch with actually, using a ruler, is, the strips end up being 1 1/4 inch. And so I think I end up cutting about 6 strips. Six strips. And that's what I will use for the layout. And so now this is the actual background paper, black and white. And I'm just cutting off the top. Now I'm starting in the middle with the blade because this paper is so thin. And doing so at either end would have caused it to tear. Okay, so here I am taking the liberty to find the center point for the middle strip. And what I came to the conclusion was that based on the sketch and the length of the strips, that center strip had to have been cut down. So you'll see me cut it in half and then pull it out so that it's the longest part in the center. Now they didn't say all of that in the sketch. It doesn't give you any additional instructions, but you kind of have to figure it out on your own. Thank God for the guidelines, because that is what I used to make sure that everything was lined up according to where they were placed at on the sketch. Now, the second row of strips I had to cut maybe 1/2 inch off. So you see me do that for both sides. And then the next row of strips, I think, was about maybe, I want to say 1/2. Now you see here is where my paper cutting skills is not the best. So as I was sliding the blade down, it shifted the paper and then it cut more of the strip off than I anticipated. But fear not, it was something I could work around, in which case I did. So then I pull out the ruler, see what I need to cut off from this set of strips, which is the second to the last, going outward. And I think for that one it was more like 2.5 inches. So I cut the strip for the other side and put that in place just to make sure it's lining up. And then I find that the end part that I cut off from that is just the right size for that last piece. And I thought to myself, maybe I should use a square piece for the corner parts, the left hand top portion and the bottom right hand portion. But then I thought maybe I might be doing too much and it might change the overall look of the layout. So I left well enough alone, considering I am not the originator of this sketch. So now it's time for me to go ahead and lay these strips down. So I'll pull out the ACG gun and I put them in place. And this is nothing exciting, folks. I'm just gonna talk my way through that, or maybe give you a few seconds to soak it all up. And as you can see here, thank goodness I didn't press that down, because I didn't center it properly. But I managed to get them all down on the first try, aside from the last one, without tearing the paper, thank goodness. And even if I did tear the paper, it wouldn't have been a big problem, because I would have found a way to cover up any flaw, because that's what we do with paper, isn't it? So that's the last one for that side. I'm going to go on ahead and do the same to the opposite side. And this is not rocket science, nor is it brain surgery here. It's just a matter of lining it up according to where the ones on the opposite side are. And so laying down this last strip, thank goodness that part of the sketch is complete. So now at this point, I just need to move on, and let's see what I do, guys, because I have no idea what I did. Oh, okay, yeah. So I'm just referencing the sketch to see how I need to cut down the banner flag that sits in the middle. And of course I'm using the marble gray, white, and kind of like a beige color in there. I'm using that for the banner, centered banner flag, if you will. And I am just trying to make sure that it's scaled according to what I see there in the sketch. And when all is said and done, I think I did a pretty good job. Now, I don't want to toot as my grandmother would say, toot my own horn or beat my own chime. I think that's what she would say. But for this being the second or third layout that I've done using a sketch, I think it ends up coming out pretty good, and you'll see at the end, you'll be able to determine that for yourself. Okay, so now I'm just finishing up cutting the opposite side of the banner flag that I'm going to use underneath the photos, and you'll see that I am going to struggle for a few minutes, keep a few seconds to get it centered. And in the meantime, the placement of the photos is what I'll work on. I want to make sure that I don't cut off the heads and I don't cut off too much of the car, because heaven forbid I cut off too much of the car. That would defeat the purpose of the layout, according to my son, the car enthusiast, you know. So once I put a pause on that, I'd go ahead and pull out the punches, and start to use the red cardstock to create some circle punches that I'll use in a different way in the layout. But for now, I'm just taking a break from trying to figure out how to place those photos. Now here you'll notice that I've pulled out some cardboard, and that's just a cereal box. It's a cereal box that I cut out in the shape of a tag. Didn't use a die or anything like that. I just used scissors and a hole punch. And I'm using the inside of a envelope that a bill or some other type of sensitive information came in. And so I use that paper to create a little bit more visual interest by introducing a different pattern into the layout. And so I just put it on one side and punch a hole in it so that I can add this red and white twine to the tag. So I'm just putting a little bit of the glue tape on the back of the banner flag, and because I'm not really comfortable with where it sits, I'm going to go ahead and pull out this trusty ruler to kind of get a center point for the banner flag so that it's a little bit more even. And so I'll pull it up, and then once I get it where I want it, go ahead and press that into place. Now next, I'm going to pull out these foam sticker sheets, and what I'm using these for is just to create some dimension, lift those photos up off the page. And so I'll cut some squares to stick onto the back of each photo, and then because it's not sticky on both sides of the foam, I'll need to reinforce that, or should I say adhere it to the layout with using the ATG gun, as well as a little bit of Eileen's tacky glue. Gonna move on to the next step, which is figuring out what to do with those circle punches. And then I realized that the coloring is a little off. So I go ahead and punch out some more circle punches using another security envelope and then adhere those to the red, just so that there's a contrast and it brings a little bit more balance to the red, the tone of the red, because it's quite different from the red that's in the actual photos. So I'm gonna play around with the placement of those circles before I actually, lay them down permanently. And but for now, I pull out the stickers, and I promised Josh that I would use this intercity rail car. I think it's like a speed rail car. I told him that I would use that in the layout, and that's what he picked out. And so I promised that I would use that in layout. And so this is where I tucked that cute little thing, and I'm sure he'll be happy to see that. I stuck to my word. Now, because I did not select the alpha stickers that I wanted to use for the title before I started recording, that's where you'll see me pull out that large lime green binder, which is where I store my stickers and alphas and some of my stencils, and actually a few doilies too. And so I happen to have these stickers that are two-toned. It's polka dot white and black at the top, and black at the bottom, and they're a little bit shiny. And so I use those to form the word ride. And I'm going to use another set of stickers from the That's My Boy sticker pack or paper kit to create the word along. And so, of course, you use the tweezers and a little bit of Eileen tacky glue just to secure those stickers down, because I'm not sure how old or how new they are when they arrive at Tuesday Morning in some of the other stores, but sometimes the adhesive is not that sticky. So it's always best to kind of reinforce that to make sure that they don't come off the layout. And so there you'll see me pulling out the sticker set that was in the That's My Boy paper kit. And just to bring some one more different element into the picture, into the layout, I am pulling in a little bit of baby blue, and that's just to kind of break up the black, white, and red. And I know that we have gray in here, but because it is a young boy's layout, I wanted to make it a little bit younger. So to add a little bit of a youthful color to it, I just put in a couple of pops of the light blue. And so the stickers that I use to create the word along for the title, Ride Along, are the light blue stickers from the That's My Boy paper kit by Echo Park. So I'm just lining these up just to get them straight, and that will serve as the title for this layout. And I'm actually pretty glad that I put that light blue in there, because it just gives it a better look for me. Now, you might differ in opinion, but since I am the mother and this is my kid's layout, my opinion matters. Not that yours don't, but let me know what you think about the light blue in the comments below. Now, one of the other things I did was there was this journal spot that was in the layout, and it had the word details at the top, but it was in orange, and I didn't want that to conflict with it. So I pulled those circle punches out that I slid in earlier, and I put the journal spot below that picture of his. And so I'm just going through this paper kit to see if there's any other stickers that I can use, red and white or baby blue, and I'm going to put those in there to have that little cluster, a little cluster in the top left hand corner. And with the addition of, with the exception of some paint splattering at the end off camera, that is pretty much it for this layout. And so I'm happy with the results of it. It is featuring one of my most favorite people, my son. We call him the mayor, Josh the mayor. And so I'm happy with this, the way that it turned out, considering, I've only done, maybe in the last year or so, I've probably done 4 or 5 layouts all together in the 12 by 12 as well as in the Traveler's Notebook. And so, as I mentioned earlier, I am going to go ahead and splatter a little bit of the white paint onto this background. And that's pretty much going to be the last effect that I add here, because I think it's busy enough. And honestly, I don't want to take away from the focal point of this page, which is the fact that this adorable little boy loves and enjoys all things cars. So I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you could use some part of this lengthy scrapbook and layout as inspiration to go ahead and lay your memories down on paper. And until we're back here again on YouTube, stay encouraged, stay blessed, and stay creative and crafting. Bye for now. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Hit subscribe to join the crafting community, and be sure to click the bell for notifications of new uploads. Thank you so much for watching. Now stay tuned for more from Livie'S Lovelies, your inspirational craft channel. Bye for now.